All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
How are you?
Hey, who wants to help me get this recorder out of here? I need some muscle over here.
You are listening to Blame Your Brother.
Hello. Welcome, everybody, to Blame Your Brother. I am David, here solo tonight. That's right. Normally, there's two of us to make up the show, but my co-host, my friend, my brother from another mother, John, is not in tonight. He is under the weather. I'm sure he will talk about that when we get together next week, but it's just me tonight. Who am I? I'm David, a.k.a. D. Brew, Glenn Jackson, the spiritual midget, Mr. 40%, Mr. Wonderful, Nick Nickum, the man who will save America. That's right, that's me. I'm David. Welcome to Blame Your Brother. We stream this every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, so come hang out with us as we do that. I will make sure I'm recording because I am at home tonight, not at the BYB studio, so if anything gets weird here, that happens. I have not done a solo show in so long. This will be interesting. I do have a guest joining me at about 8:30. You'll just have to listen to find out if you're doing this in real time. You have to see who it is in real time. But I have a guest joining me. And man, there's so much to get to. This has been a crazy week once again in America. But just want to say, if you want to check out more of this podcast, if it's your first time ever checking it out, go to go to our website, bybpod.com. That's bybpod.com. There you can grab the podcast, social media links, all of the past episodes. So I encourage you to do that if you're so inclined. Now, let's just get to what's going on with me this week. So I was off on vacation last week, had a great time happen. We're just going to continue and push on through. So anyways, on TikTok, I have recently been getting some traction on there. I had a video this week hit 200,000 views. Now, I don't know if you've ever posted anything on social media and it's gotten 200,000 views, but it's something else. I've done it before. I've had a couple videos hit the 100,000 mark. My most ever was 300,000, which was, it's pretty impressive. And then this recent one here, which was, so what I tend to do on TikTok is I like to talk politics. I like to talk about society. I like to talk about how this world's kind of falling apart around us. And so I take stupid things that conservatives and Republicans say and I comment on them. And I always have a lot of content for that, as if you've noticed the news. Lauren Boebert is a representative out of Colorado. She's something else. She is a far right-leaning conservative. She's part of the Donald Trump MAGA crew. And she gets on TV and says these very bizarre things that are just not true, and, it's a little bit strange. So she got on some talk show this week and was basically saying that all people that come over the border illegally, they get all these things. They get they get a free cell phone. They get $450,000 check. I'm like, okay. And they also get a plane ticket or bus ride to anywhere in America. So I clipped her saying that. And then I acted like I was someone who wanted to come over the border and get all these free things. And it kind of took off. People liked it. It was kind of funny. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. And I've got a pretty decent amount of followers on there. I have 16,000 followers, which I never thought would happen. It's crazy. Been doing this podcast since 2007. I've had relative success over the years with different, incarnations of the show. I used to do a show by myself. I had a pretty good audience there. I started doing a show with my brother-in-law. We had a pretty good audience. We were on the radio. And then I started doing the show with my brother and John. And for a while, we had a lot kind of going on, and just honestly, when my brother left, the show kind of took a dip. I think he offered a lot of things. His perspective was unique and he was entertaining. And so when he left, we saw people leave, which is fair. If you come into a show and there's 3 people on it and you enjoy all 3 of those people and then one of them leaves, you're probably going to be inclined not to listen anymore. So I started TikTok. Just the guy at work was like, yeah, I'm on it. It's pretty cool. Check it out. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Okay. And man, it's just taken off. So yeah, that's fun. But America's it's an interesting time, and that's being nice about it. It's kind of terrifying at times. So Joe Biden in his office, and he's getting blamed for essentially everything that's ever happened in the history of the world. Gas prices, Joe Biden's fault. Inflation, Joe Biden's fault. Everything is his fault. And I'm like, how would that even be possible? That would all be his fault. I mean, gas prices, a global demand is gas prices. It's affecting everywhere in the entire world because, I mean, I'm sure COVID had a lot to do with it. The situation in Russia has to do with it. You have Russia, who was a main provider. You have some of the Middle Eastern countries were providers of gas, and they're not providing anymore. So the demand is off, and so gas prices go up. And if you ask people, the gas prices or the gas companies, are getting a lot of profits, and it's a bit odd. I mean, we're producing as much oil as we ever have. And gas prices are like $5 a gallon here. And yet the oil companies are having record profits this year. And I mean, there's people like Bernie Sanders is being very straightforward about this. Guys, what is happening right now? And I don't know what to say about it. Do we just ignore the fact? Are we cool with the billionaires getting more money? Constantly over and over again, and we're just pointing at the president, who is, all it counts, not a billionaire, oh, it's his fault. So then he's this week, he's well, let's cut the gas tax, which I would not advise us to do that, but I understand he is desperate to get reelected. I understand this. I mean, the election's coming up, and this is, there's big stakes here. The Democrats lose a lot of seats, we're in trouble. I mean, nothing gets pushed through regardless because of the bipartisanship of politics. But if the Republicans get control of the House, it's done. His last 2 years are just going to be nothing. And so I don't know where that goes from there. Are we talking Ron DeSantis is running? Are we talking Donald Trump comes back? Is Pence going to run? It's just any of the options make me want to throw up, honestly. And I've said before, and I'll go on record, I mean, I was not the biggest fan of Joe Biden running. I don't have anything against the guy, but I think you could have went younger. There's things Biden does even today. I'm like, man, come on. I understand you talk a certain way to your friends. You got to talk a certain way to the nation. You can't sometimes address both. I understand that was a appeal of Trump. He just said what he wanted to say, but even in life, you don't talk to everyone the same way. You don't talk to your children the same way you talk to your wife, same to your coworkers. You have a different rapport with each person you talk to. And the president has to kind of walk that line, and I don't know. It's just, so regardless, everything is Biden's fault. And I think this is laying the groundwork for some potentially damaging things. And then you have, Roe v. Wade is potentially going to get overturned. And today, the big Supreme Court hearing was that, and this is what's crazy to me. So New York has very stringent gun laws. Basically, if you want to carry, it's not like here where I am in Tennessee. Here, who cares? Just carry your piece with you. Open, as if you conceal it, who cares? Well, New York is much different. You have to have a permit. You have to have a reason for your carrying. And today's Supreme Court just said, no, nope, we don't like that. You can't do that. It's a violation of the 14th Amendment, which is absurd because, Trump and every one of his cronies on January 6th violated the 14th Amendment, but I guess we're just going to choose to ignore that regardless. Anyway, back on point. So they've said that's a violation of the 14th Amendment, and now they're saying that, I guess, I don't know what's going to happen. New York is saying, no, we're going to write laws that's going to counteract what the federal government's doing. Because the federal government, in one case, Roe v. Wade, is saying, hey, we're going to let each state decide what women do with their bodies. Now they're saying with the gun laws, well, no, each state has to do what we tell them to do. It's just like a mixed message thing here. Either we're going to let states decide what to do, which, it's a nuanced issue. You can't just say this applies for this and this applies for that. I understand that. But with the situation with guns, with the mass shootings that are happening, you figure there would be better information out there, but I don't know, apparently not. So that's kind of where we're at. You have this right-wing Christians spreading this nonsense. The movie Lightyear came out. the Buzz Lightyear property, the Toy Story Pixar movie. And apparently there's a lesbian couple in the movie. I have not seen the movie, so I'm just going on what I've read. Apparently there's a lesbian couple in the movie, and this is outrage of the Christian right. They're telling people not to go see it. They're boycotting Disney, hashtag protect our children. I'm just like, what world are we living in where we're telling people like to just ignore things that are truly in society that are not harming anyone? Like, we're just going to be, well, sorry, Christian kids, you can't ever go see any gay people ever in your life. I mean, I just feel that's like problematic. We've been here before. We used to segregate schools, hey, we can't have the black kids and the white kids mixing. And it was just absurd back then as it is now. Like, let people live their lives the way they want to live them. I don't understand. I mean, I know the Bible. I used to go to church religiously. I, at one point in my life, thought I was going to be a preacher. I've read the Bible. I don't get where they're getting all of this. Even if you think homosexuality is a sin, which, once again, I argue that's not even really in the Bible if you talk to scholars who've translated certain words. But even if you do, Jesus sat down with the sinners. Like, Jesus was famous for having dinners with sinners. Like, he didn't just say, hey, I'm just going to ignore all these people. So I don't know. I don't know where we're at, but I feel they are trying to get certain books banned in schools. They're big now on the transgendered issues, as if, women's swimming is just being ripped apart. Did you people really care about women's swimming before all of this happened? Was that like your big thing? Like, hey, you know what my passion is? Women's swimming. That's what I love. I mean, get out of here. It's just an excuse to jump on trivial issues because they know their base loves it, and they know their base is all about, man and woman, Steve and Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, and all these like just ridiculous catchphrases that are so stupid. Once again, if no one's being harmed, everyone's happy. Why do you care? Why do you care what your neighbors are doing behind closed doors? Like, once again, as long as it's not illegal, if they're not hurting anyone, just the outrage. It's so bizarre, so bizarre. So that's America. So what do we do to distract ourselves from America's burning? Well, I watch TV a lot. I watch movies. I did happen to watch, I've been watching Obi-Wan on Disney Plus. It's the Star Wars series about Obi-Wan Kenobi. It takes place after, the first three movies, whatever, the Revenge of the Sith. It follows Obi-Wan, and it is a fantastic series. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but I will just say there are some great fights. There's some great character introductions. There's some great... I enjoyed it thoroughly. I've enjoyed everything Disney Plus has put out. I mean, they are batting 1,000 with me. I was hesitant to go watch The Mandalorian. Honestly, I was like, I don't know. Do I really want to watch this? I mean, I don't know. And it took me a while. Like, the Baby Yoda stuff kind of, I just wasn't feeling it. But then I watched it and I loved it. And I watched Boba Fett and I watched everything they put out. So if you're my age and you watch the original Star Wars, you owe it to yourself to go watch Obi-Wan. You will be very, very pleased with what you see. It is fantastic. All right, we got Glenda in the chat. Hello, Glenda. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so Obi-Wan, fantastic. It is great. I mean, Ewan McGregor, what more can you say about the guy? He's one of the great treasures of that entire franchise. I mean, when you look at, like, I know everyone loves Mark Hamill, of course. Han Solo, of course, as Harrison Ford. I mean, I know we love those characters, but when they came back out with 1, 2, and 3, I mean, you really got to say that Obi-Wan was the standout star of those movies because people were not loving Hayden Christensen. And Ewan McGregor taking that role on, and really people, that's like, you talk to most people like, what's the best part of those? It's got to be Obi-Wan, like in those initial series. So if you're not watched the series and you're hesitant, it is fantastic. You don't have to watch The Mandalorian. You don't have to watch anything. You can just watch the Star Wars movies. And you will, I'm recommending it highly. It is fantastic. The last episode, I was like, I don't even know what's going to happen here. And so for a show to do that for me, and I know that obviously we all know Obi-Wan doesn't die, but I was like, how, it just answered a lot of questions. It's great. Hopefully there'll be more. Now, I do love Marvel. I have generally loved everything they put out. I was not a fan of the Inhumans, the movie. I thought it was just bad. I really don't know. I don't know what was going on with that movie still to this point. Like, one of the main heroes of the movie leaves. Like, before the end fights, I'm like, what is happening right here? You're having heroes just go, I'm out. I'm not doing this. It's weird. Can you imagine the Avengers movie and like Hawkeye's like, yeah, bro, I'm not fighting in this battle. I got to get out of here. It would just have questions, right? But I've loved all the series on Disney Plus of the Marvel so far. Me and John have talked about it extensively. We love it. Well, the new series is Miss Marvel. It's gotten a lot of, talk. Oh, Eternals. I'm sorry. Yes, not. I don't know. What was I saying? Anyways, yes, Eternals or whatever I was saying. Okay, so there's the news. John's in the chat. He's not well enough to be chatting with us, but he'll correct me. I got a fact checker. So the new series on Marvel on Disney Plus is Miss Marvel. And it's gotten a little bit of talk online because it features a Muslim superhero. Oh my God, a Muslim superhero. And I watched the first episode and I was like, all right, it's okay. And I just got to the second episode and I was like, I just can't watch this. This is set in high school. And look, I know Spider-Man is set in high school, but this is like, even in Spider-Man high school, you're like, I don't know, this really could be set in college. This Miss Marvel is just a high school show. I have to believe this is marketed toward a certain age group of teenagers. It is not marketed for me. It's not for 40-year-old men, I don't think. I mean, there may be 40-year-old men out there who love this show. I don't know. But I can't. I got about 20 minutes into the second episode and I said, I'm done. I don't like any of those CW shows like The Flash or what were the other ones? Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow. I don't enjoy those shows for some reason. And this Miss Marvel so I have reservations now about She-Hulk coming out or the other series that might come out. I don't know. Maybe you've watched Miss Marvel. Maybe I'm wrong. I would love for you to tell us. You can hit us up on social media at BYB Pod on Twitter, on Facebook, or on Instagram. Just search Blame Your Brother. But if you're liking Miss Marvel, please let me know, A, that you like it, and B, why do you like it? Why do you like this show? Because I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling it. Once again, I think it's just for teenagers, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Teenagers need shows. Adults need shows. And so I think it's just not for me. So, and John says that's what I was saying last week. Marvel is not even attempting to aim for their main demographic. And that may be because they've already got their hooks in the main demographic. They know that males between a certain age range, let's say 18 to 50, are going to show up for Thor, Love and Thunder, are going to show up for the next Avengers movie or the next Iron Man movie or Captain Marvel, whatever the movie may be. And that's fine. I mean, we all need representation in cinema. We don't need like you look at the Avengers, that is the whitest superhero team like that's ever existed. Name me a whiter group. I mean, even DC at least in the comic at least had Martian Manhunter as an alien, right? The alien that shows up in Avengers is the whitest of the white men. He's Thor. He's like Hitler's like dream of the perfect person. That's your alien on the team, right? I mean, so to have the Muslim representation, to have the, LGBTQ representation is fantastic because not every show has to be catered to me. When Disney makes a new animated show, they're not writing Frozen 3 for David. They're not going, hey man, let's write this show where we can get 40-year-old men in there. No, I get it. All right. So I don't have a problem with it. There needs to be more representation on film. There needs to be more studies on how we view cinema, because if you've ever read anything about cinema, I mean, for a long time, obviously it was controlled by white men. And so every product on there, from the male gaze, that's a phrase in cinema or film. The male gaze is how the camera looks at women. It's always sexualized. So we need a different perspective. We need like a new study. We need a new perspective, a new take on all this stuff, So I don't know, Miss Marvel, I'm not recommending it, but once again, if you're my age and you like it, I would love to hear about it. Now, I watched a movie that just came out. Oh my God, what's the movie called? It's called Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Wow. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is a 2022 film, and it will blow your mind. It stars Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Sue, Jenny Slate, and Jamie Lee Curtis. There's a number of people it stars. Man, how do I describe this movie? Basically, this movie it involves multiverses. Oh man, I don't even know how to describe the movie. I mean, I'm just saying it's a movie that's really trippy. So it's basically, I'll read the synopsis right here. When an interdimensional rupture unravels reality, an unlikely hero must channel her newfound powers to fight bizarre and bewildering dangers from the multiverse. So if you like comic book movies and you like multiverse movies and you like crazy movies that just have a lot of crazy activity going on, you need to go check this movie. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I watched it today and wow, I was just blown away by how creative filmmakers are getting. And this is a movie where, I mean, you have Jenny Slate and you have Jamie Lee Curtis, but other than that, most of the cast are not white people, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, So Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. It's streaming now on most of the platforms, so check it out. It's worth a rental. I think you'll like it a lot. Like I say, they're having a lot of fun now that the multiverse option is out there. Filmmakers are having fun with it. They're like, hey, let's have some fun with this. Let's do different things. And it's getting into, like, Doctor Strange kind of did the same thing. It is fun for creative people to have a new outlet. It used to be time travel. Let's play around with time travel movies. What can we do with time travel? Now the multiverse is open. We're going to get all kinds of creative directors and writers just writing these crazy, crazy scenes that are out there. And I am one, I'm looking forward to it. The worst feeling you can have is watching a movie and you're just bored out of your mind, And I think that's part of the reason why these like multi-series documentaries have taken off, because they're always fascinating. They're always interesting. And that's what we're looking for. I think that's one of the reasons for like murder porn is a big thing, because it's just so insane to believe that this is reality. And everyone's just looking, like I said earlier, we're looking for something to take our mind off what's happening around us. Let's just be real here. I mean, we're all looking for that thing that's just we don't want to think about. You work, you come home. I mean, yeah, you're like me, you turn on the news and you get all like ramped up, but most people probably don't want to do that. Most people they want to come home, they want to chill, they want to put on a decent movie. And that is why people love like the Tiger King, or they love these murder shows, because it's just so outside of your life. It's so outside of what you are, who you are, anything you've ever experienced, that, like I said, you're watching Tiger King when it came out and you go, I can't even believe this is like in the same world I live in. Like, there's no way that is a real thing, but it's like, it is. It's totally a real thing. Now, like I say, some of that's bled over into politics, and you had like January 6th and Donald Trump, and a lot of us were sitting around going, is this reality? Because this doesn't seem real either. What a time. I wonder what historians are going to write about this period when they go back and write about it. I don't know. I'm very curious to see what the history books will say about this, and what are children what's everyone going to say? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure people thought that about living through the Great Depression, living through World War I, World War II. I'm sure they were all thinking like, oh my God. I guess we've evolved as a society now where it seems things are a little bit different, but I don't know. All right. Well, I mean, I've got some stories. I want to bring the guest on, and the guest is one who's been on the show before. It's not anyone famous. If you thought maybe it was going to be, I don't know who you people thought it may have been, but we'll go ahead. I'm going to try to get him on the show right now, and hopefully this will work. So let's see. I've never tried this before, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. And definitely want to technology. You got to love it. When it works, it's fantastic. And when it doesn't, it is the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your life. So, all right, we'll see if he's going to call in here. Let's see, hopefully so. So we'll just kind of hang out. Like I said, I see a few of you in the chat, so maybe you can jump in with something that's going on. Shadow Patriot. Oh, John, I wish it was the Shadow Patriot. That would be the best. Shadow Patriot was if you've never listened before, Shadow Patriot was a guy that lives in Nashville, and he doesn't call himself a superhero, I guess. I mean, he dresses as a superhero and he has a superhero name, but he's not a superhero. That's because he has no superpowers to speak of, but he goes around Nashville and he helps people out. He's not a vigilante per se, as he would say, but I don't know. He was an interesting guest. Me and him obviously had some interesting things. So yeah, I've got my phone up on the screen. So if you ever wonder what my wallpaper is, all right, here we go. This is Josh Baker calling in. I hope this audio works. All right, here we go. All right, it is Josh Baker. What's up, man?
What's up, man?
All right,
is a crystal clear video you got right there.
Yeah, nice. Okay, well, that's good.
Crisp.
Good. Well, we can hear you, so that's good. All right, I've never tried this before, so it's all right.
It'll work.
Yeah, well, Josh, man, Saturday Night Live has like the 5-time guest. You've been on here, I think this is your 5th or 6th time on the program, right? At least.
I think so. I don't know. It's been a few.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, well, you did both the 24 hours, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I can't remember, man. My memory sucks. I swear, since I had COVID, I think I've got that like long haul COVID where my brain fog hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
Yeah, my memory's gone. Or I'm 38, so maybe that could be it too.
It does go. It does go at some point, just to be honest with you. All right. So, okay. So you did get COVID. Now, how early on did you catch COVID? I mean, was this like, were you one of the early people or were you one of the late?
No, I wasn't one of I didn't get the original, I got the second rate. Not
yes.
second rate,
But yes,
so.
yes. Well, yeah, I mean, the first, if you caught it early, there was like a lot of people like, oh, I might die catching this. And now it's almost become like, I mean, I guess as long as you've been vaccinated and you whatever, I mean, I guess you're going to be fine if relatively speaking, but it's still out there. But all right. So people know who Josh Baker is. We met many years ago. Josh was a writer and a great writer at that. I will add that on there. And you were part of my first podcast, and then we just kept in touch. You're a musician, an author, all of these things, man. An artist, a true Renaissance man. But also, you like to. Well, I don't know if you like to, but part of your job, you look at dead bodies. So, which I've always found. I find it interesting. You talk to some people, and they find it kind of scary. So I don't know.
Yeah, they do. It's hard for me to gauge my audience because sometimes I'm like at a dinner or something and I just start talking about who knows, like how like a decomposed brain looks like guacamole or something. And I look up, in the fog of war, and I look up and people are like, dude, you gotta stop talking about that. Oh man, I'm so sorry.
That's odd to me because I would find that like super fascinating. Once again, I was talking earlier that we as society, we love stuff like that. I mean, we love like murder shows and these documentaries like this is about the serial killer, an 8-part series. So, I mean, people can act like they're like, oh, I don't want to hear about it. But if there was a documentary about it, they'd be watching it nonstop. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know what
exactly. I'm just telling you about it in real time.
Right.
Not second rate show. I'm giving you the facts.
Right.
From the source.
So have you been writing lately? I mean, what are you focusing your creative energy on these days?
Oh man, not a damn thing, dude. I'm so busy with. I just started a new job actually in research. So I've been reading a whole bunch of like research papers and writing for the newsletter and at Vanderbilt. I've just been contributing to that. But just today, it's funny you asked me. Just today, I laid in an MRI, the sounds in an MRI, or it sounds like an Apex Twin song or something,
Yeah.
And like, man, I need to write some music, So I'm thinking I may put something out, like a song out before the end of the summer.
Nice.
I'm gonna try that. Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoy it, and I still go back and listen to the stuff you were putting out. Once again, how long ago was that? Like 2 or 3 years ago? You were like putting out music like frequently, and I still go back. I've still got those on playlists. I still go back and listen to them. So
I appreciate that.
I love
during the quarantine, I was just sitting down writing like little like quarantunes where I would just put out like a quick minute of music. I mean, it's longer than a minute, but I was only putting out like a quick minute on Instagram or something, just pass the time. But I need to write something. I have some like story ideas, fiction book ideas and stuff that have to do with like AI and consciousness and all of that. Just a lot of far out kind of heady stuff, and it all kind of came about with I sent you that article about like sentient, the chatbot.
Yes, I did. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, I wanted to talk about that anyway, and it just didn't come up with John. I don't think I tagged it, but what is okay? So what is the actual story there? Because I've read an article about the article, and so this is actually legit though, or is it over the top? They're saying that it was a program or computer that started asking questions, or
it started like becoming self-aware. According to this article, like you're saying, it's so hard to decipher what's bullshit and what's not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So reading this article, I'm like, man, this chat bot or whatever it is was talking about how it's afraid to die and how it's
it's crazy.
and just how it doesn't want to be seen as just like this tool that humans are using. It wants to be seen as like an individual. And
so are you frightened? I am worried about that, honestly. Like I'm not worried about aliens coming down. I'm not worried about ghosts. I'm not worried about the devil or whatever. I am legitimately concerned the day I believe is inevitable that AI becomes self-aware, and they're going to be pissed, man. I mean, like,
yeah, I know. That's why I'm like so kind to Siri. Anytime I ask, I'm like, thank you, please, thank you. I'm like equal parts scared, but also fascinated. I mean, if you think about when you were like 10 years old or whatever, did you ever think this stuff would be happening? I had no idea. You know what I mean? So I think it's a useful tool, and maybe it won't take over. Maybe we're giving it a little too much credit, but I don't also want to feel that way and then not be prepared. So.
I don't know, man. Evolution wise, if you just look from like you said, when I was 10, okay, so 1987 to like just 2007, the leap we made technology is like it's never happened in history like that. I mean, I guess you could argue when the cavemen discovered fire or whatever and then discovered the wheel, but this was like that on steroids times a million. I mean, we went from landline phones in every house across America. 2007, that was done. We're walking around with computers in our hands that if you told me that at 10, I would have been like, yeah, that's on the Jetsons, dude. I hear you. That's real funny.
I know, it's fucked up. We don't even have flying cars,
I know.
We have all,
how do we not?
Hoverboard.
Probably because a lot. I don't think we have. I think they could have flying cars. I think they would be like, no, this will kill too many people. Like we
people can't even drive regular.
No, they can't. Which self-driving cars will be a thing in the next 20 years. 100%. And
I'm all for self-driving cars if all cars are self-driving.
Yes.
Every car on the ride is self-driving.
Right. But you know how these people are. I'm not giving up my rights to drive. I'm like, I will gladly give up my right to drive if this car will go wherever I want it to go. I don't, I don't understand that. But okay, I want to talk about two stories I found that are coming out this week. First off, you heard the Juul, the smoking, the Juul, the JUUL is done. The FDA said it's no longer, going to push it out anymore. I guess I don't really understand why, because there's 100 other type of Juul items still available. But this one was one that every celebrity in the world seemed to have at one point. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones said she couldn't live without hers. I mean, it really took off. I mean, it looked cool. I mean, I tried it out. I liked it, for what it was, but I wasn't addicted to it. But what does the medical community think of these? Are these items safer than cigarettes, or is it just kind of like I don't know, man. We don't know.
I feel like it's just different. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's safer. I think maybe it's safer in one route, but then it's just creates a whole different set of danger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What that is, I don't know. I'm not claiming to know anything. I just feel like whenever one thing is safer, it's going to compensate in a different way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I didn't even know they were done with it. I'm sure is that pissing people off?
Oh, dude, I jumped on Twitter today just to I put out something about the show, and I did a search on Juul, hashtag Juul, and people are just like, oh, so 5-year-old children could get transgendered surgery, but we can't have our Juul cartridge. I went, wow. Number one, that's not even true, but I mean, the people are pissed. I'm like, dude, just go get the next. There's 800 other types, dude. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Smoke a cigarette then.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, and look, I used to be a smoker. I'm not going to sit here and act like I did not enjoy the art of smoking. It was like one of just the greatest. I remember working at a restaurant, getting through a quick dinner rush, dude, and just going back and smoking a cigarette. It's one of the most wonderful things that's ever happened in my life, but you also, hey, this is bad for me and I should stop doing it at some point. I just think we're in a society now where people just want to be pissed, right? I mean, they don't really care that it's the Juul. It could have been anything. And they're just like, this has to do with Joe Biden. Some people are like, this is Joe Biden's fault. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, you probably should be smoking it anyway. I mean, he's probably saving years off your life, dude. It's crazy just the amount of things. Now, the second story, Brad Pitt. Now, we all know who Brad Pitt is. Obviously, the actor, great actor. He said for years, Hollywood has said he's aloof and he's, just so cool. And he said the reason is he thinks he suffers from face blindness. This is like a real thing, apparently, that he does not recognize people's faces. Like, he's face blind. I've never heard of this before. I thought this was a joke. Is this something like you're aware of? Like,
there's like a fusiform cortex.
Okay. Wow.
In your brain that is responsible for recognizing faces.
Wow.
Yeah. That's crazy to think about, that we evolved, our brain in us has evolved to clock and memorize faces.
Right.
And that's probably that probably has something to do with recognizing people of our tribe or
right. Yes.
whatever way back in our evolutionary past. But yeah, and I wonder if other parts of his memory suffer, because you got to think that's kind of like yes, it's a certain region of the brain, but just, your brain works in tandem with other parts of your brain. So yes, one part of your brain could be dysfunction and then disrupt functions of your, outward appearance, as far as not recognizing a face or not moving or being able to move one side of your body after a stroke. But I wonder if that affects other parts of his memory, because that is a recall. I mean, remembering someone's face is a memory.
That's true. That's because it's weird. Like, when you see, yes, I can't imagine, number one. I mean, it must be very weird. I mean, you must have to pick up other social cues to know who's who, right? I mean, if you get into a big crowd of people, you're probably just like, oh shit, I what's happening right now, But it is weird when we see things that are unusual. We have this panic, fight or flight mode. Like, if someone walked in and their head looked like a 3D box, I mean, you would be like, oh shit, I either have to run or fight this person.
Yeah.
Which is, like you said, and I think you try my best, it's because, we recognize if we see a face that looks like ours, we're like, oh, we're safe, which in a weird way, when people look at it further, it explains a lot of the Southern racism or any racism in England is the same thing as here. But it's like, you're right. That is part of the DNA at one point was like, hey, I better stay with these people that look like me. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, some people still follow that. But, you know.
Unfortunately, some people can't control that.
Yes.
Oh, that person doesn't look like me. I'm not safe.
Right, right.
Feeling, you know, they can't overwrite that, which is, you know, I feel like that's just another step to me in evolution is being able to, okay, like now we're part of a larger community.
Right.
This person doesn't look like me. Okay, like, oh, no, I shouldn't feel like that. We are part of a larger community now. I need to override that bias, that implicit bias that, you know, we all have. We all have it. Everybody
yes.
does.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, you know, people act like, you know, I don't see color. I'm like, all right, dude. I mean, unless you're face blind, you're lying. I mean, obviously, but like, you know, you're right. There's part of the evolution. We're a bigger community now. I've never really thought about it. That's a good way to say it. You know, it's not a bad way at all to look at it. But yeah, he says he suffers from that. He's suffering from it from years. And that he just, I mean, somebody had told him like, hey, you maybe need to go get this checked. And he went and got checked. And they're like, yeah, you have it. So I don't know, man.
Wouldn't that be funny though if he is actually aloof and this is just all like a PR thing?
Could be, man.
I recognize faces, man. That's. He's probably got it. I'm not trying to minimize it. But wouldn't that be a fucking hell of a publicity stunt? Like
it would be. Hey, if you don't think less has been done or more has been done, 100%. People have lied all the time. Like me and John talk about Britney Spears all the time. And like, I say this, there is obviously something wrong with Britney Spears. Like, I know this whole Free Britney movement came up and we had someone on the show. And look, I agree. Your father shouldn't be holding all your finances, especially when he's probably up to no good. I think, you know, everyone can agree on that. But
right, she
obviously has been affected at some point. Like, she is obviously going through a lot. She deleted her Instagram this past week, and her Instagram was just a hot mess of weirdness. I mean, you just looked at it and you're like, something's not right here. You know, my wife will always say, something's not right with her. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, she was like a child slave, essentially. I mean, she, you know, and these kids. She was,
I mean, to her own father. You know?
Yes. And they kept it going because they get addicted to needing the money. It's like, who's the other guy? Shia LaBeouf, who is, you know, brilliant actor, but my God, the guy is screwed up in the head because of the same situation. His parents, he was their cash cow. And so you stop having that childhood experience and you're an adult at like 8 years old. That's got to mess with your head, you know? It's like.
It has to. I mean, you know, I say it has to, like I know her, like how she feels, but there is a point where, exactly like you said, you are now like the breadwinner for your family.
Right.
And now you are in a position of responsibility at a young age where you don't even know who you are. You don't even know if, like, acting is what you want to do for the rest of your life or being in music. You're like, oh, well, this is how I make money for my family now, so this is what I have to do.
Right.
Maybe you feel stuck doing it, and then you grow up, and then your Instagram's a hot mess, you know? And I respect the hell out of Britney Spears. I don't know her personally, clearly, but I think, you know, for what she's been through and being able to get through it and fight the conservatorship and all of that, that's great. But like you said, I feel like it's affected her, and I think it's kind of ignorant to think that it hasn't.
Right. It
doesn't make her like a bad person or less than or anything like that. I think she should be in control of her own finances, but I do also think that, you know, maybe I don't know. She probably goes to therapy. I don't know.
I hope. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know what? Oftentimes, like, it's weird when you meet people or you work with people because, you know, working is probably the best where you kind of know someone, but sometimes you don't. And I work with people. I'm like, these people straight up need like therapy, like, you know, and as you get to know them more, some of them do, but then a lot don't. And, you know, and you try to like, hey, it might be helpful for you to have therapy. And it's like, no, I don't need therapy. It's like, no, you do. You seriously like are seriously going to hurt somebody one day. Like, you know, so it's a strange world we live in where therapy, especially, you know, many years ago was like almost an insult, you know, like, oh, you're going to therapy? What, something wrong with you? And it's like, dude, I think therapy should almost be mandatory for like, I am too.
I feel that therapy is incredibly helpful, even if it's like once a month, even if it's, the people that are like, I'm not doing it, I think if they gave it an honest try, it would be helpful. And I don't even mean like talk therapy, because one therapy is not one size fits
Right.
all. You have your own approach. I think some people would benefit from even the insight that makes them going to a couple sessions and they feel uncomfortable, just to kind of sit in that discomfort where they can kind of go, all right, what does that mean? But
Right.
I don't feel like a lot of people have a lot of insight. So
No, not, and and for a lot of people across America, when do you get insight? Like you say, it's often when you have time to sit around and really think. If you're a person that is open to going, why do I do this certain thing? Well, let me think about it. Well, some people work jobs where when they come home at the end of the day, they're done, man. They're not, their brain's turned off. They're only thinking about, shit, I got to go back and work tomorrow and work this construction site or whatever. And like, you see these guys, a lot of them, they like to drink a lot because, of course they're numbing out their existence. There's people, I get it, like we've all been to like certain points of our life where like, this is rough, and I think a lot of people are just not taking the step. Like you said, we're all moving as humanity, evolving, and some people are just stuck. It's like that movie Idiocracy. I think it's like, my God, I think it's like a true movie that's going to come to light one day. But there's just a lot of people that they fear education. Education is a weakness. They don't want to get educated. I mean,
yeah.
It's just kind of sad, man. I mean, I can't believe it. Like, I'm like, you don't want to learn more? You don't want to know more about other people, about other things, about other experiences? Like, are you crazy? Like, the world.
And it's like, and part of me, when I think about that, I love that movie, Idiocracy, by the way. But part of me wonders, like, what? I don't know. I get caught up in that loop of, man, we're gonna be a whole bunch of idiots in 40 years, 50 years.
Right.
But then I like to think about, like, well, look at us now. We just created a sentient chat bot. Like, so is it gonna be that bad? I hope not. I don't think so. I feel like we're only gonna get smarter. I think we're getting smarter in a different way now, instead of like when you and I went to school, and even probably up until another few years, it's going to be about memorizing these facts.
Right.
I think the new mode of learning and mode of intelligence is being able to know where to look for facts, which I think is useful in its own right, because I mean, now we've got the tools that give us the answers immediately, which is good and bad. But all we need, I feel like, speaking of evolution, seems to be the theme of what we're talking about here.
Right.
Just need to kind of evolve to adapt to those new technologies and go, okay, well, memorizing things is not as helpful anymore because we have tools that allow us to not have to memorize anymore. Just like we have, like the phone book. I mean,
right.
You don't have to memorize a phone number when even the phone book was something we don't have to memorize numbers.
Right.
We have it there. I just think it's going to be a different mode of intelligence. Just a shift, maybe. I'm trying to be optimistic.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. No, I do. It's the only thing that concerns me is that less intelligent people are having more children than intelligent people. Studies have shown. So that was one of the points of Idiocracy, which
yes, it was.
So I don't know, man. I was like,
when that family tree just starts branching out.
Now, speaking of family trees, have you taken a DNA test at all? Like I took one recently. Again,
yeah, I heard that episode.
Part Jewish. I'd find that's very interesting. Just to think about where we've come with like that technology. Like, I mean, once again, 30 years ago, like, you don't even know. I remember doing a report on DNA in like the 5th grade and not knowing like what the hell was even like, what is DNA? I don't even know what that is. And now it's like every show talks about DNA. Every crime show definitely talks about DNA. And you're able to literally swab the inside of your mouth, send it off to a lab, and a month later, it'll be like, here you go, bro. This is where you're from. You're related to these people here. and some are like, these are the conditions you might suffer from. It's wild, man. I mean, like, it's what a world we live in. But
I think that's going to be where medicine goes, is like genetic therapy.
Right.
Like, okay, we're going to get your genetic makeup, and we're going to treat you whatever ailment you have based on that genetic makeup. And it'll probably be a average of everybody else that has similar makeup and a similar kind of, ailment. It'll be an average of that. But I have, as far as doing it, I'm weird about the privacy aspect of that.
So my first kit I did, a girl I work with, or not a girl, a woman I work with, she was like, hey, I'm not doing this. I got this for Christmas. I don't want it. You can have it. I was like, why not? And she was like, cited some study about somewhere in, it was China or some other country. They were basically using that to almost commit genocide against a certain group of people who had a certain trait. And I went, whoa, that is crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I was like, so I've heard that from other people. My wife hasn't taken one yet. And I just figured, man, look, all my data's out there. Like, I've given Google all of my data for the last 30 years. I mean, they probably know more about me than anyone. That's probably the more damning stuff that's out there, truthfully. Like they've said that literally you could be murdered and Google could just continue to run your life for like a couple years and no one would probably know. Like, they could just compose emails.
Funny you say that.
Yeah.
I found an article where, you ready?
Yeah.
Amazon announces Alexa can mimic the voice of deceased relatives.
Oh no. What?
I know.
Wait a minute. How is this possible?
Here, I'm gonna text that to you.
That is
right now.
That's
crazy.
You
don't have to read it now, but
I definitely want to learn more about this. This is going to have to be discussed on a future episode because this is not right. I mean, so I think at some point we already have holograms of like celebrities. I think there will be a service where you can like communicate with your loved ones that have passed away. I mean, right? I mean, people would pay for that without a doubt. I mean,
absolutely. When do you like? Is that helpful for grieving? Is that not helpful for grieving? What will that do?
Well, in the movie, Her, with the movie with Joaquin Phoenix in it, where basically you get this AI, you can put it in your ear. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's called She or Her. It's one of those two. And basically he falls in love with this AI, and it's a really good movie. I don't want to spoil the ending of it, but people, and I say that, people would get addicted as he gets addicted to this AI in the movie. I think people would get addicted to having that loved one. I think there was an episode of Black Mirror, which is obviously a fantastic series, which examines all these pitfalls of technology, but I think people would get very addicted to that, and they would not ever want to turn it off, or you know what I'm saying? I mean, like,
yeah, I think you're right.
Grief.
People scroll through Twitter and stuff now, and I think you're right. I think people would become addicted to that because that's for some, maybe it's a way to ignore that grief. For others, like you said, it just becomes a part of their day. Like,
right.
I'm going to talk to my grandma or my mom or whomever.
Or like if husband, wife. I mean, you can imagine they would be like stuck with this person that doesn't exist, but they've recreated who they are. Yeah, there's actually an exact Black Mirror episode. Now I'm thinking about this, and it's really good. I don't know if you watch that series, but it's fantastic. I
watched one episode and I was like, this shit is depressing me.
I've heard that from other people. There are some
depressing me.
Yes, there are some very depressing episodes. So, I mean, what else are you gonna do? Well, so what else is going on with you? I mean, so you're working full time. I mean, like full time. Is there any knowledge you've learned that you can pass on to what are you studying? Like anything we would understand, or is it like way over our heads?
No, I think it's all really understandable. I'm doing brain research right now at Vanderbilt. We're researching delirium in the ICU, and then I'm also going to school for. I'll be going to a PhD program in a year for neuropsych. So, looking at cognitive effects after a TBI or any kind of other cognitive deficit. So it could be anything from, Alzheimer's to Parkinson's,
Wow.
car crash. See, interested in psychology and human behavior. But for me, as far as doing, studying it and doing that as a job, it's not, I like things that are able to be quantitated.
Right.
So I want to be able to look at someone's behavior before an incident, right? And this is their behavior, whether it be normal, abnormal, it doesn't matter, right? And then they have a TBI or some other, maybe meningitis, and it affects a structure of their brain, and now they react like this. How do we now maximize their life with these given symptoms now,
Right.
rather than this psychopathology? It's now, these cognitive or psychological deficits caused by this ailment or this TBI or, brain injury. What can we do now to improve this person's quality of life or get them back to functioning to as normal as they can? To me, that's, you can see that before.
Right.
And I guess you could do the same with behavior, but I also like looking at like neuroimaging and things
Right.
like that. So, yeah.
Thanks.
But I don't think it's anything, that nobody would understand. I think, I feel like we don't give ourselves enough credit, because these people that go on and talk about these things, they've been studying this stuff like for decades of their life. And some of the stuff I've talked about just previously in the show are just things I've kind of learned about in my brief, run through this subject. But yeah, we're studying, delirium in the ICUs. I'm studying the effects of non-contact boxing in Parkinson's patients.
Wow. Okay.
A helpful intervention. And there's this thing called the glymphatic system. So it's popular. It's hot in neuroscience now. It's the thing to go to. But what it is it's your brain. So you have to think your lymphatic system, you're cleaning toxins out of your body, right? The glymphatic system is cleaning toxins out of your brain. And the theory is that it happens at night when you're asleep.
Mm.
And if you're not sleeping well, the glymphatic system's not flushing the toxins out of your brain. And it could start causing like plaque in the exit of this glymphatic system, which, can block up the toxins and cause Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or dementia or any of those, unfortunate illnesses. These are all, theories right now.
Right. Well, I mean, is there like an ongoing theory or anything? Why does more people seem to be getting dementia and Alzheimer's? Like, I mean, it seems like it's just more people. Like I have relatives that have passed from it. My wife does. I mean, everyone I know. Like, what is going on here? Is this?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there any working theory at this point for the increase of this, or has it always been there? We just don't know, or
that I can't answer that, but and this may not answer that question. My personal belief is, we're living longer than our brains can kind of catch up to.
Okay.
So that could be part of it. Another part of it could just be, environmental factors now. Like we have, and in no way am I saying like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth or whatever is causing dementia. I'm not saying that, but I'm wondering if those frequencies in the air are doing something to our brains. And I mean, they're everywhere,
Yeah, no, that's true.
So is that something contributing to it? Again, I don't know enough to really say that in any reality that's what's going on, but I don't know.
But there's I mean, people are obviously studying it. I mean, probably every, and by the time they figure it out, it's probably going to be, past our generation. So maybe another generation will benefit from it. You're right. I guess if you're ground zero for new technology and just new information being processed, a different, like you say, the lack of sleep, the work schedule we have, I'm sure all this stuff is going to factor in, and we're just going to look back and go, oh yeah, we were stupid for the way we lived.
So one of the people we collaborate with is Rush University in Chicago.
Okay.
and they study Alzheimer's, and they have this religious order study where they have a convent, so they have nuns that have signed up to be in the study. After death, they donate their brain. You know, they look at their brain under a microscope, and these nuns have the signs of Alzheimer's, like the tangles and all of this in their brain, but they don't show those behaviors, even though it's in their brain. And they're saying that, you know, nuns are highly social. They're, you know, speaking with others in their convent. They're doing community service. They're reading the Bible. They're studying the Bible. They're, you know, and I'm not advocating for studying the Bible or anything, but, you know, they're doing all of these things that are, and you have to think they've been in these convents for years, so they're building up their cognitive reserve.
Right.
So they're building, you know, they're working out. So when they do get older, if this stuff does settle in, they work their brain up to a point where they're able to absorb some of that aging.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting study, and I wonder if, you know, like you just said, if people working and being exhausted all the time, if that's, you know, contributing to that as well.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure. I mean, as studies continue, I like I said, we'll look back one day and go, oh, that, yeah, we were just, and John, my, you know, co-host Joe, obviously, he does not get enough sleep. And I've told him like millions of times, like, dude, you've got to start getting more sleep, man. It's not good. You know, like every study that we know about that's actually here, like you say, it's just not good, you know, so.
And he's at a higher risk because he's got that like weird night schedule, right?
Right. Yeah. So, you know, yeah. So you know, you gotta refresh, man. It's unfortunate,
Pop
but
a melatonin, you know. Just
hey, man, I do occasionally now. I'm getting older. I mean, some nights are fall asleep, some nights I don't. So I definitely have some I take. I'm like they help, you know, obviously. So that helps.
I do the same.
All right, so I guess we're gonna start wrapping up. So here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna come back on the show when John's feeling better, next couple of weeks, months, whatever. Especially if you get a new song on, you're 100% coming in. But we got to get you back in. We got to get you back in studio because you're always one of our favorites. So,
this is
yeah.
Thursday night. Like, what am I doing? This.
There you go. Well, we're definitely going to invite you out then because you're one of our favorites, man. But what is there anything you're promoting right currently? You want people to follow you or just lower?
Nah, man. I just wanted to come on, and you said you're like, I may do like a shorter show or like a condensed show. I'm like, man, I'll pop on. And
all right.
Shit with you. Why not?
I'm glad you. That was kind of like what I was kind of hoping for. I was hoping somebody would go, "Hey, man, I'll come on," and so there you go. It kind of worked. So yeah.
I can promote like music that's already out, I guess.
Right. Well, yeah. So you're on Spotify under what's the name?
Florida.
Oh, Jose, Florida. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll tag it. And then you were also in Short. Is that still on Spotify? Yes.
Nah, dude.
Is that gone?
That stuff it was bad.
No, come on, stop. I think I've still got it somehow. I don't know. I must have downloaded it or something. I think I've still got some of it. But anyway, okay. So Jose, Florida. Find him on Spotify, and he'll come back and be on the program whenever you want, man. But
I can come on and talk about brains and shit too if you want.
Yeah,
we can do that.
For sure.
And if anybody that's into neuroscience knows the question you asked, why are there higher rates of, you know, Alzheimer's or dementia now than in the past? Tell them to hit you up on Twitter and be like, hey, man, here's this research article I found.
Hit us up. All right. Well, Josh, okay, we'll get you back on soon then, man. I appreciate you hanging out with me and spreading the show out. It's fun.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Okay. Well, we'll be in touch with you, and we'll get you back on soon.
All right, dude.
All right, man. See ya. Bye. All right. So that was Josh Baker. That was a great conversation. Wow. I mean, obviously, he's a very intelligent guy. We learned a lot there, and I'm glad he came on and talked to us, and my notifications are going off the chain. So we have almost come to the end of the show. This is where I tell you, you want to learn more about this program, you want to get more, you want to go to an episode where it's actually me and John talking the entire episode, you go to bybpod.com. That's bybpod.com. That's got all of our social media links, so you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Subscribe to the show where you can watch us live on Thursday nights. Now, all saying that, next week we're going to be doing Wednesday night at 8 p.m., but if you follow us on social media, I'll put it out there and you'll never miss it. How about that? Go tell a friend you've heard about the show. Rate, subscribe, do all that on all the podcast platforms. If you miss us streaming live Friday mornings, episodes are always there. So normally there's 2 of us doing this, but I will just do this. With that being said, is there anything else? Don't blame yourself when you can blame your brother. Peace, people.